Welcome to Overwatch. This time we're going to go over, well, the placement system. There's been a lot of hoo-ha over the last few days as Season 3 began and everyone ended up about 200 points of where they left off last season. At least a lot of people did, but this video's actually gone through a few rewrites as more and more information has developed. So a lot of players, they've ended up pretty much where they ended last season. That's not too surprising, I hope, but for many there's also quite a leap away from where they were, particularly immediately after the placements. From what I can tell, most people who played a lot during Season 2 remained pretty much where they were, while people who played relatively rarely, however, made quite a jump in ranking. Which kind of makes sense, right? Let's be realistic about what this number even means. It's meant to reflect your overall performance at the game on a rating scale between 0 and 5,000, a numerical value that tries to figure out about how you are equivalent to others. If you've played, say, 100 games in Season 2, that'd be very bizarre not to use that information as the main weighting in determining where you are in that ranking scale. Even if it didn't use that number as the major weighting, ending up where you were last season feels like, well, the placement system's probably working. But you say, you rapscallion you. They said that you probably placed lower this season than you did last season. And this is where the large recalibration happens. If you didn't play much during Season 2, you probably ended up much lower than you were. So while I think the quote that Jeff gave about placements is still a little bit misleading and poorly phrased and probably just outright wrong for some people, I'd be willing to speculate that if we made two scenarios, we'd see two very different outcomes. The first scenario, let's just call it Scenario A, where you played your first 10 placements in Season 2, as in your first and only competitive games ever, you probably placed in Platinum. Then in the second scenario, if you played your first 10 placements in Season 3 as your first ever competitive games, you probably place in Gold instead. It sounds dramatic, but it's just an example of the fact that you're probably placing lower in Season 3 if it is your first time playing and the competitive system doesn't have much to value on. So, for example, for my own anecdotal evidence, I won 5 of my placements, drew 1 and lost 4, and the result was, well, a little bit higher than when I ended up in Season 2, but not really by much, and that kind of makes sense with the kind of calibration I'm expecting from my own MMR. If you consider it being a 50% win rate or a 40% lose rate, it makes sense that I ended up about in the average area that I was around in Season 2 anyway. At the end of the day, what you want is an accurate number anyway, because it plays a large role in what you get matched up against. So the more accurate it is, the better games you'll get. If it has to pull from last season to do that, well, fine by me. If they're changing how the estimates work from those first 10 games to try and lowball your rank a little, honestly, also fine by me. Climbing is more fun than sinking after all. Now then, let's talk about why they could be going over some shifting of the rank system, because they did say they wanted to flatten the curve, so to speak. Rank in Overwatch is pretty much a normal distribution, although there are some interesting quirks with it. Second-party sites seem to confirm this. The overwhelming majority of players is around the 2,000 to 3,000 mark, then dropping off rapidly the further you go from the average, which is around 2,500. What's interesting is that the curve is thicker under 2,500, while past 2,500 you see more of a slow taper down, with a big group of people though clustering around 3,000, probably just due to how rating decay works, so a lot of people end up there. From what Blizzard are saying, I thought they pretty much wanted to almost raise the curve in the middle, pushing more people into Gold and Platinum, straddling around 2,500, while making Silver and Diamond a bit more outlier. The issue there, of course, is, well, you basically end up with areas of the rating scale not being used, and if they're not being used, why are they even there? What really matters isn't rank anyway, to paraphrase a friend of mine. It's where you stand relative to your peers, your goals, and what you think you can accomplish. If you want to be the greatest Overwatch player ever but struggle breaking out of Platinum, well, you might have a long way to go. If you think you're Silver tier but can't seem to ever drop out of Diamond, you might want to change your expectations of yourself a little. The key is understanding what rank is even for. It's a tool for matchmaking, and that with enough of a volume of games, the best way to gain it is very simple. By playing better, you'll go up in ranks. No magic, no special tricks, no top 10 guide to getting better at ranked. Eventually, all edge cases even out. For every game you disconnect, the enemy will probably have a disconnect as well. For every game you've got an obnoxious moron on your team, the enemy will deal with their obnoxious moron. You might not see them as regularly, but trust me, they're there. It all flattens out, and at the end of the day, again, the best way to gain rank is by playing better. I will say this as well, the rating system seems to be very aggressive at the moment in how it changes people. Purely anecdotal, but I've seen people reporting bigger swings in MMR than what they used to get, which does make me think that some kind of recalibration is happening, but it's very slight and slowly working behind the scenes. Let's get to the real issue though. Are placements even, well, necessary? It's kind of interesting. The season format allows for a clean sheet kind of approach, and it's nice to have that tiny week break before kicking off again, giving people a soft reset to play around with. Seasonal play in general has also been shown to do well for things like Hearthstone, with huge spikes in traffic come every month once they reset the ladder. But in Overwatch, if your rank pretty much carries straight over with enough games played, is it really a reset? I was honestly a little bit looking forward to the grind back up through Diamond into Masters, particularly just to see if I could, but partially just to see what it's like perhaps at a lower rank. I'll say this much, unless they're going to really reshuffle the sorting, they should probably just cut it down to like 5 placements or something if you've already placed or played enough in the previous season. The big looming spectre of 10 games before you know your rank is a little bit nerve-wracking and intimidating for some. Might as well just get it over with as fast as possible and just let them filter into the normal ranked system. I'm still curious to know how you guys did in your placements, and was it different from where you ended up in Season 2? If so, was it off by more than say 200 rating? Did you win, lose or draw most of your placements, or go about 50-50? In closing, the difference really shouldn't matter too much. The system should try and be as accurate as possible. I think people are just surprised that it feels like you have to jump through 10 hoops to get there. Thanks for watching to the end. I have been Josh as one voice amongst many, and this has been a quick chat about the rank system and how placements perhaps are working in Season 3. Best of luck in yours if you still haven't done them yet. Toodles.
Reinhardt is on the payload. Reinhardt is on the payload.
My Kree's high gone.
Easily can kill him, guys. I have him. Kree's on down, though. He's down. Just stay, guys. Just stay. I'm here. I'm happy. I have my ult. Kill him right now. Nice, guys. Very good.
Fuck this. Hi. You got this, you got this.
It's the roadhog on a payload. Yeah, you.
Good job, guys.
Okay, it's fine, guys. It's fine. We can win this.